Good evening and welcome. When this week began, hardly anyone was talking about a storm named Helene. Tonight, it's all anyone is talking about along the Florida coast and across the deep south.
And it's getting up into the Carolinas right now, and still a big rainmaker, so flooding still going to be a big concern.
Today, North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper declared a state of emergency.
On Friday, September 27, 2024, North Carolina was struck by a once-in-a-thousand-year storm. Heavy winds and rain were expected to wreak havoc across the southeastern part of the U.S. But no one predicted the devastation it would cause in western North Carolina's mountain towns and villages. More than 100 people died in the storm across 21 counties. Dozens more are missing. Homes and businesses were ravaged. The destruction left the city of Asheville with no running water.
This is an unprecedented tragedy that requires an unprecedented response.
The people of Appalachia are very resilient. This is a natural disaster, unprecedented for 100 years or more. So to be able to talk about it, I think it gives us an opportunity to heal.
USA Today spent time in some of North Carolina's hardest-hit areas to learn how people are coping, grieving, and helping each other recover. The Swannanoa River, small and unremarkable most days, crested at over 26 feet.
So we've taken everything down to the studs to let, everything air out the best that it can.
John and Stephanie Zara say their backyard was prone to flooding once in a while. But when Helene came after days of rain, water filled the inside of their home within an hour.
So you can see how small that opening is.
So tell me what happened.
So we're in the attic here. I was kind of still down here thinking I could save things. I'm like putting things up high, computers and photos and stuff like that. And I'm like, surely it won't get this high. And you can actually see it in here still, the water line.
Oh, wow.
So it came up about a foot from the ceiling there.
Oh my gosh, you can see it all the way around.
Mm-hmm. So you climbed out of this window?
Yep, and when we went around this way, and we were able to get to here where we could stand on this handrail. So I've got, a 2-year-old in one hand, and we're kind of holding on to this and holding on to the underside of that trim, and we work our way around. And here is a really old dogwood. You can kind of see the broken branches there. That's where Stephanie got in the tree and was able to get up on the roof from there.
Are you hoping you can still save the frame?
That would be nice. I don't know where the money would come from to bulldoze it and build a brand new house.
What kinds of trauma-related issues might people face after going through a disaster like this?
I think a lot of us are shifting out of our kind of immediate fight, flight, freeze at this moment and kind of starting to move on to when are we going to have normalcy? When can we go back to functioning on the day-to-day?
And just a word, there's no water in the building. None. So there's bottled water. And so no toilets in here, nothing to wash your hands with. We do have porta potties.
The Asheville Citizen-Times has been covering the city and surrounding communities since 1870. Asheville gets its drinking water from the Swannanoa River. The storm wiped out the city's water and sanitation systems.
The lack of water was sort of the main issue for most people because we couldn't flush toilets, we couldn't wash in any way. Yeah, we had to go out in the bushes those first early days until some porta potties got set up around town. The city has no ETA on when we will have water. It could be months. So those are the conditions we still work under in our homes and here at the office. But we just come in and we just write the news.
This is my desk. This is my press pass right now, as I lost my press pass in the mud. I very seriously messaged the newsroom. I was like, can somebody like help me print a press badge? And this was our immediate solution because all the printing places are closed. The River Arts District is like one of the most important commercial districts in the state of North Carolina.
There's so much gone that I hope we can come back and help the whole area come back.
It is really foundational to basically Asheville's commercial tourism industry. Is a place that was, in the past 20 years, has been affordable, maybe provided studio space for people.
When you see all that water, it looks devastating, but it's almost like after it goes down, it's worse.
Seeing a natural disaster like that, I think, has a lot of like different effects on people and that you're not able to process immediately.
You think you're in control and then whoosh.
Allison Chisholm is a glass-blowing artist. She's 62. She's lived in Asheville for 7 years.
We had power pretty early, so we put out charging stations. People came with food and water. You know, it was beautiful in a way.
What made that connection so important at that time?
Because we were all so vulnerable. You know, a lot of us lost a lot of things. Like my house, you know, I lost my studio. It's my heart, but it's not my home. People lost everything, you know.
So what did people do to come and help you and help each other?
Oh, see all this got moved out of the building. You know, so people are doing heavy, grunt, uncomfortable labor. We all have to wear, like if you stay much later and the dust kicks up, I suggest you leave because it's river poop water. Silt everywhere, so they came in and risked health, you know, and did muscle work. It shows the best part of people. Yes, there's tragedy, but in the midst of this tragedy, there's been a lot of light, if you will. Sorry. Anyway, no, but it was beautiful. You know, that's what makes me cry is kindness.
Chisholm takes us to her studio on the second floor.
This was all filled with glass, shelves here, glass hanging.
So how high did the water come? Like, is there a way to show us?
Well, let's see if it's still on here. It looks like it came about a foot high.
And we're on the second floor.
And we're on the second floor.
Wow.
We have over 100 pounds of protein and plenty of folks to feed, so.
In East Asheville, restaurant owner Ashley Shanty is a local celebrity. She was a competitor on the popular cooking series Top Chef in 2022. Shanty is prepping tons of donated food free for residents.
We have ensured that we have a focus on the underserved communities. So we have a list of spots that we want to make sure that we hit with hot meals. And we're kind of just doing what chefs do and utilizing the product that we have in front of us. So, I mean, from roasting tomatoes, pickling things, I'm gonna meet with Chef Silver, and we're gonna kind of go through a menu draft and figure out what we can do with all this product. This is a good time to hit a pause.
Oh my God. It's tiring and everything takes forever.
Silver Iacavozi was named Food & Wine's 2024 Best New Chef. His restaurant is right above us, but like most places here post-flood, it's temporarily closed.
We have the capacity as professionals to process all of everyone's extra ingredients to making something taste good, and that's what we want to do for everyone. We should have had so much more aid come to North Carolina or Western North Carolina a lot faster, and even just seeing a couple of our friends on the side of the road yesterday waiting in line for Ingles, like they're so hungry because they're working so hard trying to help everyone in every way that they could.
What kinds of things are people then dealing with once they are trying to return to normalcy, but you can't?
Even things like accessing medical appointments and getting back to your doctors, getting back to the normalcy of life. But I also know that there are roads that were once there and communities that were once there that are gone now.
About a 40-minute drive from Asheville, this historic mountain town has turned into a disaster zone.
This is Marshall, North Carolina. It's an amazing town. We're right on the French Broad River. This town floods. We know that. It's flooded before. We know it will flood again. This is what we were expecting. That's what we got.
27.
Yeah, it started coming over the railroad tracks. By 10:30, we lost the town. There was 4 feet of water on Main Street. I was standing on the courthouse steps, which is the highest point in downtown Marshall. By noon, there was 6 feet of water in the street, and my friend's coffee shop on the corner here, Zuma Cafe, I watched like all the windows just shatter and the whole restaurant just floated down the street. And that's when I was like, time to go.
Josh Copus is an artist and local entrepreneur in Marshall. He owns the Old Marshall Jail Hotel. It's boutique lodging with a restaurant that was converted from a 116-year-old jail. Since the storm, Copus and other residents spend long days moving out furniture, shoveling mud, and salvaging what they can. The National Guard has joined the effort as well.
Like, I'm a very optimistic person, but I was shattered, and I felt like it was gonna be impossible. Like at that moment for me, I had my close people around me, but we had no self-service and no way to communicate. And I think everyone just felt super alone. And when you look at the devastation, it feels insurmountable. I mean, my friends, he lost 2 buildings, completely gone. And he was like, just looked me in the face and he said, we got this, dude. And that was the point where like, I just switched my attitude, I switched my mentality. Like this whole first floor was full of water. And, you know, we have a collection of historical documents in here that have been donated by the people of the community. And the first thing I did was go through here, wading in floodwaters, trying to locate that stuff which is like irreplaceable. These newspapers go back to the 50s.
So you managed to save this?
Yeah, this was the first priority. Hope in humanity. Like in this, there's always a silver lining, and look for the helpers, like look for the people that are doing it. I had 8 inches of mud in my building. I had people I didn't even know their names, shoveling mud for 8 hours. They didn't even know who I was. They just came here. We're not the kind of people that are gonna wait for someone to come save us either. And we just started like that day. We got our own machines down here, our own dump trucks, and you know, we just started.
So they would come into this room and pick the stuff for their meal for the night. And this is all that's left of it.
The community kitchen provides free meals for people who need it year-round. Water levels from the flooding nearly hit the ceiling.
You can see the water line back here, right below the electrical
right
wires.
there. Okay, so right under the red light there,
Yeah.
that line
that is
the water line. That's how high the floods came.
Yeah. We gathered a large group of volunteers. We got all of our freezers and coolers, all of our kitchen equipment except the hood and tables and shelves and stuff like that. We got all that out. So we have to really intentionally focus on what and why we're doing what we're doing so that it don't become about us. It's about this community. Every single person in this community is a flood victim. Every one of them's been affected by this storm in some way, shape, or form. So this is a community thing. We're all suffering through this. The ones that were just out of electricity or Wi-Fi or something like that, sure, they might be recovered now, but not really because they went to work helping those of us who've lost stuff.
And they lost all their food in their fridges, you know? So There's lots of different aspects to how to be a flood victim besides losing your house, you know, losing your business.
The trauma, there's a physical toll, an emotional toll that's just, unless you've been through it, you can't understand it. They will help a lot quicker than they will ask for help.
How hard is it, though, to help people that maybe are not used to asking for help?
I think it can be incredibly challenging, especially if you have a belief system that says, I endure, or I am strong. And I think it takes a lot of courage to be open and be vulnerable and be willing to say what you've seen or experienced. You know, I think that there's a lot of power in that as well.
Weeks after the storm, residents across western North Carolina are opening up about the trauma they've endured and how the disaster is affecting their futures.
You think you're doing good, you're buying a house, all these things are going right, and then something like this happens in a mountain community that you don't expect flooding. You know, this isn't the beach. If I had to take a wild guess, I'd say nobody on this street has flood insurance.
Nobody's being covered. Everyone's getting denied coverage.
Conventional home insurance won't often cover damage due to flooding. FEMA estimates only 4% of people in the U.S. have flood insurance. That number is even lower in North Carolina, at less than 1%.
And so on top of, losing your home and your belongings, you've also lost your ability to provide income. So things, the bill collectors still are knocking and the mortgage company still wants their money, and we're like, it's kind of like one thing after the other.
When something like this happens, what do you realize is most important to you?
It makes you realize real quickly that your family is the most important thing to you. We feel so, the fortunate is, I think, the word we keep saying, and we're so lucky because we survived. Yeah. It just changes you.
The Zaras say they're staying with family out of state and have enrolled their kids in school there. With livelihoods at stake, people will face tough decisions in the months ahead.
I was waiting for someone for 1 hour to get 2 bags of ice.
No, ice is a hot commodity. Some of these folks are gonna move away in response to this because their nervous system can't handle it, and I really understand why, but it breaks my heart. Folks that have been through it or folks that are coming to help are the only folks that understand the devastation that's happened and how long it's gonna really take for us to really be the same city.
Communities are now bracing for the long-term impact of the storm.
We're in one of the most beautiful places in the world with forests and national parks and rivers and streams and mountains, and we have incredible fall foliage at this time of the year. We have millions of people come into the area. This is the time of year when most businesses make the bulk of their money for the year, and so that's all gone. That's just completely gone. So we're going to continue to tell that story.
People go back to their lives, and we're going to be here. We're still going to be down here. This cleanup and rebuild, this is a town we're saving. So this is a collection of voices and feelings and sentiments and thoughts of the community. So this is a monument to folks. It's a folk monument where people can come and write their feelings and whatever they want to say. It's also like a time capsule. And so, there are bricks in here that just feel so powerful, profound now. This is a moment in history. This is a special thing. And it made it through the flood. It's gonna be here, stayed here. Time to get back to work.